Wolfenstein Youngblood is one of those games people love to hate. The thing is, I love the new Wolfenstein games in general. The combat is fun, the story is entertaining, the humor is there. There hasn't been a single game of the series which I did not enjoy playing so far. That is also why I was excited about the idea of a Wolfenstein game designed around playing co-op. My wife Sarah is always up for a fun shooter, so she was on board from the moment I told her about it. I had, however, heard all the bad things people were saying about the game, and that kept me away for quite a long time. Naturally, I was pretty skeptical about it and thought that it might be terribly disappointed. The thing is, the gameplay footage all seemed pretty good altogether, so after a long while, I decided to bite the bullet and give this game a chance. As you start the game, you will notice the Ultrawide works without issues here. Both 21:9 and 32:9 are available out the box. You will also notice that the two main characters are both ugly and stupid. As I looked upon them, the only thing that came to my mind was wondering what the developers were thinking when they designed these two annoying bitches. Nothing about them is likable. They talk like idiots, calling each other dude and constantly saying some nonsense. Their story is dumb. I don't get why someone would make such protagonists even as a joke. It was cringy from the start to the end. My teeth almost cracked, but perhaps I'm getting ahead of myself here. The two girls we get to play as are twin sisters and also the daughters of William J. Blazkowicz. The game takes part in an even later future. BJ disappears and his daughters decide to look for him. That's pretty much the plot here. This is also the game's first major flaw. Why give us unknown and super annoying characters? Why not just let us play as BJ and his wife, for example? Anyone who has played the previous games knows that Anya, that's by the way BJ's wife, is a badass and can hold her own. Hell, she can shoot two machine guns at the same time without any problem, and that's even as she was heavily pregnant. BJ and Anya would have been a perfect pair for this game. That would have also fixed the issues with the plot. Just send them out on a mission to save their daughters. Simple as that. That way we never have to interact with the annoying daughters. We just know that they're the motivation for our protagonists and that's it. But in comparison to the previous games, the gameplay has been modified as well. You now have some heavy RPG elements with individual perks and skills. The two girls start as total newbies at killing Nazis, but become more proficient at it as they level up. The problem is that even the simplest things, such as dual wielding, are not locked and need to be unlocked as a skill. And even then, the girls can only dual wield pistols. Everything heavier is simply too heavy for dual wielding, which is strange because they have this special, well, let's just call it power armor that BJ used to wear, that it gives him the power of a super soldier basically, but they still can't do it, although they can make huge jumps and whatnot. This is also the first time I am playing a modern Wolfenstein game and facing ammo shortages constantly. Since your enemies also have levels, you can end up facing enemies which are much stronger than you. They will be damage sponges while also killing you in just a few shots. Luckily, it is possible to cheese the AI by hiding behind specific covers and shooting around the corner, while the stupid enemies have no idea how to deal with that and just sit there and shoot at the cover. Still, you might end up dying from time to time, as the game can be surprisingly brutal on occasion. And since I've mentioned death, let's talk about your lives. You start with 1 life, which can be increased to up to 3 lives in total. If you are shot down, your partner can revive you and your lives remain untouched. However, if you are left to bleed out, you die and both you and your teammate lose a life. So the 3 lives are shared. If both of us die at the same time, we have to restart the whole level. There are no lives there. The thing is, our ammo is not refilled upon death. So if you encounter a really difficult part of the game and you die over and over, which happened, you end up without any ammo and have to teleport back to base in order to restock. This is very annoying because it means you die, you wait for a loading screen, then you appear and have to teleport to base due to lack of ammunition, which means another loading screen. Then in the base, you run to the armory and refill on ammo, which takes time because you don't spawn next to the armory. Then run back to the metro map and teleport back to your location, meaning yet another loading screen, and then you get to try again. And this repeats every few deaths, because every few deaths, if you're in a hard place, you will end up without any ammo. The harder it gets, the more you have to suffer loading screens, which is very strange. And since I've mentioned ammunition, let me tell you another change. There are 2 types of ammo in this game. Each weapon uses one of the 2. Most enemies have shields that need to be depleted before you can kill them. There are 2 types of shields in this game. You see what I'm getting at? You have to use the appropriate gun for the appropriate shield type. This means you have to switch guns all the time. It also means that you have to upgrade all guns and can't just focus on the ones you like. Otherwise you will be underpowered. Using the wrong weapon can mean that your enemy will take almost no damage from your shots. In other words, they took a fun shooter and added a ton of RPG elements to it, taking away a lot of the fun in the process. A funny thing happened to me while we were playing. Actually, 2 funny things happened. The first one was a bug where my character decided decided to bend sideways. So now my camera is almost upside down and I have no idea how to fix it. Dying a few times helped, but you can see on your screen how weird it was. Luckily it happened only once. The second thing that happened was that my wife Sarah suddenly felt nauseous and had to take a break. This persisted for about 2 hours and she had to even lie down. At the time we didn't think much of it, but on the next day it repeated itself and I suspected that she could be suffering from simulation sickness. Simulation sickness is essentially where you feel nauseous while playing games because of the camera shake and other factors. Wolfenstein Youngblood has very extreme head bobbing, and while we have played hundreds of games and this has never been an issue before, I read on Steam forums that a lot of people have that problem as well. Sadly, there is no way to lower or shut down the head bobbing, so we had to try other things to solve that. We increased the field of view a lot. That seemed to help, or it was just the fact that she was persistently feeling bad, taking a break and then trying again, and her brain was basically getting used to it. While this issue is rare, there will be quite a few people complaining about it, and developers should simply add the option to turn that off in their games by default. It would be so much easier and would appeal, because a lot of people are commenting, there's no way to turn this off, I'm not buying this game because I can't play it. So they're literally losing customers and money because of this. And as we continued and we unlocked more of the skills and got more powerful weapons, the game actually became fun. I must note that we did not bother to do most of the boring side quests, which require you to replay the levels, etc. I hate the idea of grinding and knew that I would not enjoy that. Due to these circumstances, we may have been slightly underleveled when we faced some of the later challenges, but we did make do. Another major issue that stuck out like a sore thumb was the fact that there isn't enough content here. You essentially have 3 major missions and the game ends. That's clearly not enough. While the gunplay gets much better once you level up the characters, the levels are somewhat linear and unimaginative. The previous games did a lot more here. The added RPG elements seem to actually have hurt the game rather than helped it elevate it above the others. As I've said before, this should have been the same as in the previous games, with Anya accompanying BJ this time. Just should have been another standard Wolfenstein where you get to play as BJ and then you have the option, or maybe not an option, I don't care about that. I mean, I would have played it with my wife anyway, but it would have been better if you did have the option to play solo or with Anya as your companion. That would have worked so well. They clearly wanted to change the game, but went way too far. There is a saying in football, when the game goes well, you don't make any substitutions. I'm not against innovations, but only if those add to the experience. Wolfenstein Youngblood is inferior to its predecessors in pretty much every possible way. Too much was messed up here, but I do also have to say that it's not deserving of some of the insults hurled at it. It's still fun to play for the most part, and the whole idea of a co-op game of this kind has extreme potential. I just fear that the execution was so flawed here that we will not see anything like it anytime soon, and that saddens me a bit. So should you play Wolfenstein Youngblood? Honestly, probably not. I'm a big fan of the series and managed to get some enjoyment out of it, but for most people, the many problems will make this game pretty much impossible to enjoy. If you do like Wolfenstein games and want to try this one with a friend, be my guest, but be sure not to pay more than 20 to 25 bucks for it. If you're considering playing this alone, simply don't. I haven't tried it as a matter of fact, but literally everyone who has declared the AI so stupid that the game becomes literally unplayable. So, you've reached the end of my review. I just want to let you know that I publish links, all the free games I can find on my Patreon page. Anyone can view those posts, be sure to regularly check it out. Everyone loves getting free games, and since most of these offers are time limited, it would be best if you check them more often rather than not, because I report them as quickly as I can, and if you're not fast enough, you just might miss the time window and miss that nice game that you've always wanted but never wanted to spend money on. I've got your back. And of course, thanks for watching my review, and I hope to see you on the next one. Have a great day.